A little while ago I made a video about a lawsuit in which a man claimed to find a mouse in a can of Mountain Dew. I opened the video with this joke. An Irishman, a Canadian and an American each buy a can of Mountain Dew only to find a dead mouse inside. The Irishman says, "These Americans sure put some crap in their food and drink," as he throws the can in the bin. The Canadian removes the mouse and drinks the rest of his soda. Likewise, the American also removes the mouse and then yells, "Spit it out, you thieving git." I regret to inform you that I did not actually write this joke. In fact, you may have heard this joke before, but with different nationalities. This is because this is a very popular form of joke, often called the Englishman, the Irishman, and the Scotsman. Typically, these jokes feature a short story in which one nationality is the hero and another nationality is the butt of the joke. When told in the UK, the Englishman is generally the winner and the Irishman the idiot. But these jokes appear all over the world, where usually the joke is the exact same, only the nationalities are changed to better reflect the teller's patriotism and casual xenophobia. For example, in Italy you might hear a joke beginning with a Frenchman, a German and an Italian. In Finland the joke might be about a Finn, a Swede and a Norwegian, and in Poland a Pole, a German and a Russian. And I'm sure the Polish have a lot to say about the Germans and the Russians, but seeing as I'm Irish, I'll be telling these jokes as they're commonly told in Ireland, which, sorry to my English fans, but that means you're going to be the butt of the joke. Strangely, in Ireland this joke more often than not does not include an Irishman, an Englishman and a Scotsman, but Paddy Irishman, Paddy Englishman and Paddy Scotsman. So even though the target of the joke is a foreign nationality, there's still a Paddy, which is a bit of an own goal situation really. Paddy Irishman, Paddy Englishman and Paddy Scotsman are wandering through the countryside when they come across a leprechaun begorra who takes them to the top of his rainbow and tells them to slide down it. Fearing a trick, the Paddies are hesitant until the leprechaun says, "If you shout out something as you slide, you'll find it at the bottom of the rainbow." Paddy Scotsman slides down the rainbow and shouts out "silver" and lands in a huge pot of silver. Seeing Paddy Scotsman do this unharmed, Paddy Irishman then slides down and shouts out "gold" and lands in a huge pot of gold. Now, Paddy Englishman hadn't really been listening, but he saw the two others slide down the rainbow, so he followed suit, shouting "wee." Paddy Irishman, Paddy Englishman and Paddy Scotsman are playing golf. Paddy Scotsman hits a wild ball and yells "4", but nevertheless it hits Paddy Englishman and knocks him out. When he regains consciousness, he says, "My injury will cost you 5,000 in compensation." Paddy Scotsman argues, "But I said 4. Paddy Englishman says, "I'll take it." Paddy Irishman, Paddy Englishman and Paddy Scotsman are each sentenced to receive 20 lashes of the whip. As a mercy, they are granted a request for something to be put on their back to ease the pain. When asked what he'd like on his back, Paddy Englishman says "nothing" and spits at his captors before being whipped. He's in agony by the time it's over. When asked what he'd like on his back, Paddy Scotsman says "whiskey. It's the finest antiseptic God ever devised and will kill the pain." Whiskey is poured on his back and he receives the lashes. He's in agony by the time it's over. When asked what he'd like on his back, Paddy Irishman says "Paddy Englishman." Paddy Irishman, Paddy Englishman and Paddy Scotsman are out for a walk when they stumble across a golden lamp. Paddy Scotsman rubs it and out pops a genie who says he'll grant them each a wish. Paddy Scotsman says, "I wish to have never-ending riches and alcohol." Paddy Englishman says, "I wish there was a giant wall around England to keep out the Scots, the Welsh, the Irish and anyone else who wants to get in." Paddy Irishman turns to the genie and says, "Tell me more about this wall." The genie says, "It's 1,000 feet high all around the English border. No one can get in or out. It's completely impenetrable." Paddy Irishman then says, "I wish to fill it with water." Some of these are a bit mean-spirited, so for some balance, here's one where the Irishman is the butt of the joke. Paddy Irishman, Paddy Englishman and Paddy Scotsman are smuggling themselves on board a ship. They each find a large sack to hide away in. Before the ship leaves, the captain looks for stowaways. He finds a big lumpy sack and gives it a prod. Inside, Paddy Englishman goes, "meow." "Ah, it's full of kittens," says the captain, before walking over to another sack. He prods it and inside, Paddy Scotsman goes, "woof." "Ah, it's full of puppies," says the captain, before walking over to another sack. He prods it and inside, Paddy Irishman yells, "potatoes." Well, England, I gave you one joke and it was about potatoes, so that's your privileges revoked. Paddy Irishman, Paddy Englishman and Paddy Scotsman wash up on an island in the middle of nowhere. Soon after, they're captured by a local tribe who plan to execute them with a barrage of arrows. Paddy Irishman is up first. He's tied to a tree and the archers take their positions. Suddenly, Paddy Irishman gets an idea and shouts, "Tidal wave!" The tribesmen all run for cover and Paddy Irishman manages to escape. Next up is Paddy Scotsman. Inspired by Paddy Irishman, he yells, "Hurricane!" and the tribesmen all run for cover, giving him time to escape. The furious tribesmen then return and tie Paddy Englishman to the tree, but he's not worried after seeing the first two men escape. When the archers line up, he yells, "Fire!" so they shoot him. Paddy Irishman, Paddy Englishman, Paddy Scotsman and Paddy Welshman are going on holiday together when their plane encounters some trouble. The pilot informs them they need to jettison some weight or they'll all die. Heroically, Paddy Scotsman jumps up and says, "I do this for the glory of Scotland," before throwing himself out of the plane. The pilot says, "We still need to lose more weight." Selflessly, Paddy Welshman jumps up and says, "I do this for the glory of Wales," before throwing himself out of the plane. The pilot says, "We still need to lose more weight." Fearlessly, Paddy Irishman jumps up and says, "I do this for the glory of Ireland," before throwing Paddy Englishman out of the plane. Paddy Irishman is travelling down the motorway in a van full of monkeys he's transporting for the zoo. The van breaks down and he's left stranded on the side of the road. He looks down the road and sees Paddy Englishman driving up behind him. "What great luck," he says as he waves the van down. "Paddy Englishman, I'm in a bit of a bind. I'll give you €50 to take these monkeys to the zoo." Paddy Englishman accepts and off he drives to the zoo with the monkeys. A few hours later and Paddy Irishman is still waiting to be towed off the motorway. He looks up the road and who does he see coming down? Only Paddy Englishman, and the van is still full of monkeys. Enraged, he waves the van down again. "For fuck's sake, Paddy Englishman, I gave you €50 to take those monkeys to the zoo." "I did," says Paddy Englishman, "but there's some money left over, so now I'm taking them to the cinema." Paddy Irishman, Paddy Englishman and Paddy Scotsman all go to the pub together. Paddy Scotsman spent €50, Paddy Englishman spent €100 and Paddy Irishman spent a very pleasant evening indeed. Paddy Irishman, Paddy Englishman and Paddy Scotsman are set to be executed by firing squad after being captured fighting a war in a far off land. Each man is given a last request. Paddy Scotsman says, "I'd like to hear Auld Lang Syne just one more time to remind me of the old country, with Highland dancers skipping gaily to the tune." Paddy Englishman says, "I'd like to hear God Save the Queen just one more time to remind me of the old country, played by the London All Boys Choir with Morris dancers dancing to the tune." Paddy Irishman says, "I'd like to be shot first." One thing I like about these jokes is that there are so many of them that after hearing a few you get the impression that Paddy Irishman, Paddy Englishman and Paddy Scotsman are actually close friends who go on all these legendary adventures together. Seeing as the jokes are told in such a way that the hero and the idiot are easily swapped depending on the national sympathies of the joke's teller, I like to imagine the three as a mythical group of friends who trade wins and losses across their journeys together. Sometimes Paddy Englishman is the dumbass, sometimes the Irishman is the dumbass, sometimes it might be a Brazilian or an Argentinian, depending on who tells the joke. The only thing that doesn't change is the joke itself, the story of the three friends' adventures. You may have even heard of some of these jokes before, but with the characters' roles swapped. And you probably have heard other ones, which I'll be pleased to read in the comments. Seeing as you don't actually know the origin of these jokes, in my opinion they're more like folklore, where people generally accept the overall stories of these mythical figures, but the details change depending on who's telling the tale. Just like Sir Lancelot's portrayal in The Legend of King Arthur differs depending on what version you're hearing. Sometimes Lancelot is King Arthur's most loyal supporter. Sometimes he has an affair with his wife. Sometimes Paddy Englishman takes the monkeys to the zoo. Sometimes Paddy Irishman takes the monkeys to the zoo. By participating in the telling of these jokes, we are crafting modern folklore. Well, I leave you with one more joke, but before I do, why not subscribe to see more of these videos in the future? You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok to see my videos over there too. That's the price for me telling this next joke. Paddy Irishman, Paddy Englishman and Paddy Scotsman all walk into a bar. The barman says, "Is this a fucking joke?" No. The barman actually says, "You've come to the right pub. I'm the most honest barman in the world." Skeptical, the three Paddys ask the barman what makes him so honest. Pointing to an ornate mirror behind the bar, he says, "This is a magic mirror. You can't tell a lie in front of it." The Paddys laugh and ask to come behind the bar to test the mirror. Paddy Irishman says, "I think I'm the most handsome man in the world." He disappears. Paddy Scotsman says, "I think I'm the strongest man in the world." He disappears. Paddy Englishman says, "I think..." Paddy Scotsman says, "I think I'm the monkeys." Enraged, he waves the vein. All go to the pub together. Paddy Scotsman, in Finland you might hire a fuck. And Paddy Englishman and Paddy Scotsman are wandering through the countryside.